Welcome back to Life by Design, where I share practical tips to empower and uplift sensitives, empaths, and intuitives. Today, I want to talk about the effects of big T and little t trauma. So, first off, the difference between big T and little t is that big T is the trauma that we consider to be conventional, acceptable, totally understandable, and for which many people seek professional help and treatment for. So these could be types of abuse, deaths, any type of violence that might have been observed or experienced. Those are big T traumas. And those are the ones that we tend to seek help for. I think many empaths, sensitives, and intuitives are very self-aware if they're on that path in life. And so they tend to seek healing and help in ways that they can be proactive. When it comes to the little t trauma, and this is the trauma that is more subtle, it's sometimes harder for people to believe has an impact because it doesn't fit into that big T criteria. Okay, so it's something that happened that may seem insignificant. It may be something that you can remember as happening sometime in your childhood or your teenage years or even your adulthood where it was just an incident. Nothing really out of the ordinary happened, but for some reason that event impacted you in such a way where you adopted a belief around that specific incident. So I had a client who was dealing with a little t trauma that she didn't even think was impacting her life, but she had kind of been suffering with a low grade anxiety. There was nothing that she could look at in her life where she could say, this is something I'm actually afraid of. It was just kind of this undertone of her everyday waking life, this feeling that something bad was going to happen. And this low grade anxiety became very exhausting for her nervous system. So that was one of the reasons why she came to me for help. And as we started to get into our therapy, specifically the mental and emotional release, she began to realize that that one event when she was 3 years old really had a profound effect on her life moving forward. And the reason is because there was a belief that was created unconsciously at that moment. So just to give a glimpse of that situation, she had shared an intuitive hit that she had received, and she shared it with her parents. Her parents were frightful. They didn't receive her sharing in an understanding or safe way. So this client at that moment learned that it is not safe for me to be who I am. It's not safe for me to speak my truth. So therefore, years and years later, when she wanted to start her business, when she wanted to express herself for the spiritually gifted being that she is, she felt this same type of fear, this same type of shame around being who she was. And it all connected back to that first incident in this life where she could say, yeah, that happened, but it wasn't really that big of a deal. But when we went into the therapy process, she began to really understand how that impacted her as that 3-year-old toddler. So that's what I'm talking about. And sometimes these little t traumas can come from your past generational family members. Sometimes they can come from past lives as well. And when it's that type of incident, how would you ever really know what it would be? How would you know with your conscious mind, with your memory, that even existed? It's virtually impossible unless you're doing some type of other explorative work. So the little t traumas are just as significant. And, those are the ones that typically fly under the radar. And those are the ones that we identify in my work with clients, because those are the ones where it's kind of surprising, right? Because the big T, and most of my clients have endured big T trauma. So they have done work around that. And so when they are confused and frustrated around why on earth am I having this issue still, usually there's a little T trauma hiding somewhere in their past that just needs to be identified and healed and released. Only then can you start to experience the shift that comes with that healing. Because our traumas basically are boundaries in our minds. They are belief systems, value systems that are created that we base our life choices on. And so, as long as we keep ourselves in that type of box or limitation, then we're not really going to get past those boundaries to attain the dreams that we have. And sometimes we can even think that the dreams that we have aren't possible because of those belief systems that were created from some of those little T traumas. So that's food for thought for you today. It may kind of put some question marks in your mind if you've been having some stubborn issues that continue to show up in your life and you've done a ton of personal work and spiritual work. Usually there's a blind spot that needs to be uncovered. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe for future updates. And if you're interested in my services, see the information below. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.